Chapter 173, Tomorrow's Headline. The spectators inside and outside the arena, as well as on the internet, had made all sorts of predictions about the battle between Zutun and Rankan. Some speculated that Zutui would be severely injured. Some speculated that Rankan would be severely injured, while some speculated that both would be severely injured. There were also some where Rankan would win easily. However, no one had predicted that someone would die in battle. That was because the competition had already reached its climax. The referees on duty on both sides were all trying their best to protect the lives of their students. Boundless mind power constantly patrolled the sky above the combat arena. Coupled with their experience and their reaction speed, they could definitely interfere with the battle immediately and save the lives of the students. The outcome would be decided. However, it was extremely difficult for Zutun and Rankan to determine who would live and who would die. It was basically impossible. The referees on duty on both sides were genetic evolvers. In the current cultivation level, one would first be a genetic liberator. He would activate his genetic base points and genetic chains as the foundation. Only after his genes mutated would he be able to become a genetic mutant. Then, after the mutated genes obtained a qualitative evolution, he would become a genetic evolver. If one had to make an analogy, the difference between genetic liberators and genetic evolvers was like the difference between an earth snake and a two-winged flying dragon. The difference in strength was too great. It was too difficult to kill someone under the noses of two genetic evolvers. However, the strange thing was that Zutui did it. This made Hikai, the referee in charge of the India sector, fall into a daze. FCAC, his mind power had been patrolling the area the entire time. He did not realize that Rankan's life was in danger. He was not even prepared to attack when Rankan was killed by Zutui. What was even more depressing was that Hikai, a genetic evolver, had yet to figure out how Rankan died. However, Hikai was a genetic evolver after all. He was knowledgeable. He replayed that extremely short moment in his mind and suddenly thought of a possibility. Instantiation of mind power? Rankan had charged forward too quickly and killed himself. At the thought of this, a word appeared in the mind of the referee. FCAC. Was this even more embarrassing than death? The death of Rankan had been a huge blow to Haruji. For 2 whole minutes, he was in a dazed state. For one thing, Haruji had high hopes for Rankan. Secondly, Rankan was Haruji's proudest disciple. In the guest area, the silver-haired beauty wearing a blue mask was stunned. A smile suddenly appeared at the corner of her eyes. This guy is smart enough to let his opponent kill himself. That's amazing. However, without a powerful and accurate mental perception, it's impossible to do so. In the inner area, the students watching the battle were about to go crazy. The comments under Zutui's Weibo instantly exploded. Everyone was asking the same question. How did God Zu kill Rankan? How exactly did Rankan die? Please give some answers. Same here. Please explain, expert. It had to be said that the wisdom of the people was endless. In the spectator stands of the outer area, the audience was scratching their heads in anxiety at the outcome of the battle that they could not understand. Li Cheng, who had fought with Zutui previously, suddenly jumped up. I understand how Rankan was killed by God Zu. The surrounding people immediately looked over. Li Cheng immediately became the most beautiful person in the crowd. It's the instantiation of mind power. God Zutui used his mind power to instantiate the mental all and then placed it on Rankan's path. Rankan crashed into it and died, Li Cheng explained. FCAC, do you think Rankan is stupid? Would Rankan be so stupid as to kill himself by ramming his head into a mental all? Besides, could it be that godly? Did Zutui know how to calculate? He had calculated Rankan's attack route early and placed a mental cone early. Was he waiting for Rankan to crash into him and die? Brother, are you joking? Someone immediately retorted. Li Cheng was speechless. He was from the extreme branch and was not familiar with the mystery branch. He had only deduced it based on his combat experience, but he could not explain it well. However, a third-year student immediately added, "The instantiation of mind power is indeed just a basic ability of the mystery branch. It's possible to make Rankan knock himself to death in the face of his instant strike. Rankan's speed was extremely fast at that instant, otherwise, he wouldn't have disappeared from the human eye. However, Zutui has to fulfill the other two conditions if he wants Rankan to kill himself. Or rather, Zutui has to have the assistance of the other two abilities. What ability? Senior, quickly tell me. Extremely accurate mental perception and a powerful reaction speed. As soon as he said that, someone immediately added, a teacher analyzed it for us. He said that Zutui might have mental perception, and it's not weak. I know about his reaction speed. Professor Luo Shifeng from the neurology department seems to have taken special care of Zutun over the past 2 weeks. He always gives him private lessons. When these statements were made, the audience was stunned. That was true. Accordito this explanation, Rankan had really killed himself with his instant strike. This was simply... he would become a joke after death. A spark could start a prairie fire. The truth was immediately spread countless times. Not long after, the comments in Zutua's special Weibo circle became full of praises. The Almighty was awesome. Was this a demonic technique that allowed his opponent to kill himself? I want to call the police. Of course, the ones who needed the truth were the students who did not know much about the mystery branch. The seniors, teachers, and the spectators in the VIP seats and the leaders' seats only pondered for a moment before they found the answer to Rankan's death. Killing yourself is really refreshing when Xinglan from the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College laughed without any hesitation. Tell reporter when of this incident. The student from the India sector killing himself will probably make tomorrow's headlines, when Xinglan said to his secretary behind him with a smile. These guys from the India sector always wanted to stir up trouble. However, they had to be taught a lesson every time before they could behave for a period of time. At the side, the expressions of the officials from India sector could not get any darker. There was no need to talk about losing. They had gotten used to it over the years. They were just working hard every time. However, this time, not only was he defeated, but he also killed himself. He would probably become the most widely spread laughing stock in the Blue Star Committee this year. On the combat arena, the emergency medical team rushed onto the arena immediately. After a brief examination, they shook their heads. The eyeballs exploded. The fatal wound was like a sharp thorn that pierced deep into Rankan's brain. On the contrary, the penetrating wound on his heart only looked serious. However, it was not fatal under the current prepared medical conditions. There was no saving value left. He was announced dead on the spot. A staff member began to put Rankan into a body bag. However, every staff member could not help but look at Zutui. They looked at him as if he was a lion. In today's combat arena, there were several people who were seriously injured, but only 3 people were killed. And these 3 people were all killed by Zutui. This method, this killing intent. In a dormitory of the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College, Deng Wei, the lone testicle warrior who was watching the live broadcast on the internet, was trembling as he watched the projection. After the crippling incident, Deng Wei had always hated Zutui no matter what other people said. To be honest, Deng Wei had been hoping that Zutui would be defeated in actual combat today. It would be best if he was killed on the spot. However, this wish was never fulfilled. Instead, he saw Rankan crash to his death. Deng Wei, who had fought with Zutui, understood the reason behind this scene after watching it once. Mentalol. Deng Wei, who had reacted, suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. Zutui had indeed shown him mercy that day. Otherwise, he would have died the same way Rankan had died. A faint sense of regret suddenly surfaced in Deng Wei's heart. It was as if a poisonous snake was biting him. He felt a pain in his heart. At the same time, Ma Zixu, who was watching the live broadcast on the internet, had a gloomy expression on his face when he saw Zutui standing alone in the combat arena. Suddenly, his phone rang. When he saw the phone, Ma Zixu immediately picked it up with a smile. It was a call from Yuan Shu, brother Yuan. Have you watched the live broadcast of the combat exchange? Yuan Shu asked directly. Ma Zixu was puzzled for a moment before he said, I did. I'm watching. Do you understand no? Ma Zixu was confused. Brother Yuan, just tell me what you need. We will pretend that the conflict we had with Zutui 2 months ago never happened. Do you understand? Actually, after careful consideration, we were also at fault in that incident. It was not entirely Zutui's fault that we were high-spirited because we had just entered the top-notch academy. And I had relatively higher authority, Yuan Shu suddenly said. The smile on Ma Zix's face slowly faded. He was actually a petty person. Zutui's subsequent troubles, especially the one that injured Deng Wei, were all fueled by him. However, he did not expect Zutui to grow so quickly. He instantly became an existence that they looked up to. At this moment, even Brother Yuan, who had a strong family background, was going to retreat. All right, I'll remember that, Brother Yuan, Ma Zixu said softly. Oh, that's right. All of you should focus on your cultivation and studies during this period of time. Increase your strength as soon as possible. We should gather less, Yuan Shu said again. When he heard that they had to gather less, Ma Zix's heart tightened. Brother Yuan, what's wrong? My grandfather said that it's better to find an opponent when making friends, that I have to find someone like Zutui. There's no future in fooling around with a pack of scoundrels. All of you have to work hard to cultivate, learn, and improve yourselves. Don't become the scoundrels that my grandfather mentioned. Yuan Shu hung up after he finished speaking. Ma Zixu was stunned. After a while, a bitter smile appeared on his face. Are we just a pack of scoundrels?